Man, something came out that I wasn't expecting. It really shocked me, made me very disappointed in myself. Okay, so I've been sick all week. We're coming to the end of the week. I think I might be recovering, but in the meantime, other than being at work, I've kind of been at home in sweaters and blankets and the heater on and shivering and just sleeping like 14, 16 hours. And all of these projects that I've been working on and wanting to do and other things that I'm trying to do are just going by the wayside. And then something came out and I was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? And it reminded me of all these things that I have wanted to do, planned on doing, started, and never finished. And then someone else did it. When I was in high school, I was wanting to go to the Joe Kubert Institute for cartooning and graphic design. And I believe in the second year of the 3-year program, you have to take some 2D animation classes. Now this is, I was in high school from 1988 through, I graduated Christmas break in 91. So that's the era we're talking about. It predates CGI, so that's why you would have 2D animation classes. Anyway, so I was planning that when I graduate and I go to the Joe Kubert Institute and I'm in that animation class, I am going to make for my big project an animation of the Marvel comic book character Iron Man. It's set to the Black Sabbath song, Iron Man. Now, hear me out for a second. We're talking late 80s, early 90s. Iron Man was a D-level character. Nobody was reading his comic. I was getting every issue for probably 6 years at that point. So I was a big fan. And then Black Sabbath's Iron Man. My dad got the Black Sabbath albums right after high school and when he was in art school. So we had them at the house. And at that time, that stuff was not played on the radio. And I have an older friend, Sean, who listened to heavy metal and was into all that stuff and was into all the obscure bands you never heard of, and of course the big mainstream ones. And he would be on top of bands before they became big hits and stuff. And he had never heard this. We got a new station in town, which called the Z-Rock, which played heavy metal, and it lasted like 2-3 months and then was drummed out of this hillbilly town. And they played Iron Man by Black Sabbath, and my friend Sean called me and he says, oh my God, have you heard this song? I'm like, yeah, I got the album at home, of course. So anyways, here I was thinking, I'm going to introduce a new generation to this music that I grew up on, to this character that I collect that no one else does. Anyways, I never did go to the Joe Kubert Institute, never did make that animation. And in 2008, the Iron Man movie with Robert Downey Jr. came out, and of course the end theme song to the film is Iron Man by Black Sabbath, and now it just seems so obvious, okay? So that's not really what I'm talking about. No big deal, right? Many years later, now here it's a couple years after the Iron Man film, it's 2010. I'm at Full Sail University. Now I am taking 3D animation, computer animation. And, I was in it for years. And as I'm closing in on, coming towards the final year where you have to work on one big animation project for a demo reel to show off to companies to then try to secure a job when you graduate. My thought was I was going to make an animation all about Tiamat from Dungeons and Dragons, the 5-headed dragon where all the heads are the different colors. And I was planning this whole thing out. And right then is when the official Dungeons and Dragons game put out their 5th edition rule set. And they based the whole campaign around Tiamat. And they said every project for the launch was going to be a different multimedia Tiamat thing, eventually culminating in a 3D animated short film about Tiamat. And I was like, oh my God! Okay, I guess I can't do that. So I didn't do that. Subsequently, neither did they. They never did it either. Okay, but now we get to the one that I'm talking about. The one that launched this whole thing. Whew! Boy, I've been sick all week. I got those those Margot Robbie bags under my eyes. Anyways, so in the mid-90s, I got nostalgic for the wraparound book covers for the Dungeons & Dragons hardcover books from the late 70s through the very early 80s. And I noticed that all of the art books for Dungeons & Dragons basically start after that. They start like in 82, 83 when they hired Larry Elmore, Jeff Easley, Clyde Caldwell, all those guys, Todd Lockwood, when they started having those professional level paintings. And that's the art that the company would put out in these art books. That old, ancient, amateurish 70s art, nowhere to be found. And in the 90s, you know, it's the very early days of the internet. It's very hard to find info, but you could get onto forums and you could talk to people and D&D collectors and stuff like that, and I did. And the word was none of those paintings existed. None of that artwork existed. It had all been thrown out. It was gone. And so I painted them myself. I made recreations of all of them just for me. Right? A few years later, late 90s, I started scanning them in and posting them onto these forums of Dungeons & Dragons collecting, in basically like a thread about collecting art. And I was just putting my recreations. Anyways, people loved them. They wanted me to do more. So I started doing a lot more, and I started collecting and cataloging all of the old D&D stuff. And I came up with all of the art I wanted to recreate, and I did a lot of it. And I thought, you know what? One day I will collect all of this together and I will self-publish it. It's a hardcover book, not to sell to make money or something. I don't own the intellectual property rights to this artwork. Even though they are my pieces of art, this would be a reproduction of my art, which is based on someone else's. Anyways, it was just for me, right? And I thought the perfect cover for this hardcover book would be the catalog insert with the 1981 basic box set. It was called Gateway to Adventure, and it had a painting done by David C. Sutherland III of like a doorway with a demon face on it, and it had like a tentacle or a dragon tail coming out from underneath it, and it had dragon wings and stuff. It was pretty cool, right? And I thought that would be a great cover for this hardcover book, and I put it out. Years went on, and eventually sold those original paintings for a tremendous amount of money. The person that bought them from me had them for years. Then eventually he had to turn around and sell all of his collectibles, and along with them he sold those paintings, and he doubled his money. And I thought, you know what, maybe I should do it one more time, paint another set of them and try and sell it myself, since people are wanting them. And they were all bidding against each other, and they went for so much money. And I was like, well, I could do this again. And I tried to ease myself into it. So I did a lot of art that I had never done before, that I always wanted to, that would have went into this book. And I started building up to where I was going to start those paintings. And I haven't started the paintings yet, but I have all this other art. Subsequently, I have all this Gateway to Adventure art. And in fact, a little side note, I used to call this project my GTA project. And I remember Sean came across my notes once, and he's like, GTA, what is it, Grand Theft Auto? And of course, by the time I had gotten a few years into putting this project together and had a lot of paintings under my belt, the PlayStation game Grand Theft Auto had come out, and now GTA meant something to the world, whereas anyway, so I never did put the book out. It's okay. The official company finally pulled their head out of their butt and realized, hey, come on, the world wants this art. And lo and behold, none of it was missing. None of it had been thrown out. It all still existed. They dug it all out. They scanned it all. They put out tremendously great quality books and DVDs and stuff. It's all out there now. I own it all. I bought the deluxe versions of all of it. It's great. It should have been put out by the company. It shouldn't have been like, you know, I mean, my paintings, they were the only thing going on the internet for a couple of decades. Will Wheaton from Star Trek Next Generation and Stand By Me, on his blog, he referred to me as the most well-known original Dungeons and Dragons painter because of my artwork, whatever. He had to be corrected by people saying, who is this guy? Who are you talking about? That's not the guy that painted them. It's because my stuff was the only stuff out there. No, the original should have been out there. So now we're going to get to the thing that just came out. Apparently, the new art book for Dungeons and Dragons, which isn't really new anymore, it's probably like 5 years old now. I guess for the, the 50th anniversary, which was last year, they put out a limited edition reprint. I don't know if it's an exact reprint of that book or if it's assembled in a different way. All I know is that it was only available at a convention to a select few people. There's only a couple of them out there. It's like a little collector item, but it's a big, thick hardcover book. And I saw someone post it that they got it. And the cover is the Gateway to Adventure catalog painting with the name Gateway to Adventure. That's what they named and used the artwork for the cover of their hardcover book of this artwork. My God! How do we all have the same idea? Did I mention I'm sick? So what I'm getting at is I'm so disappointed in myself. Not that I wanted my book to come out. It's that I'm always working on stuff. And then when I don't finish it, someone else does it. Yeah, okay, I didn't miss out on any big opportunity, but it is a slap in the face reminder that, hey, Kevin, why don't you finish your projects that you work on for decades? So my throat's closing in on itself. I'm gonna have to let you go.